Welcome to the Geek Homeworld. I am your host, Ed, aka SavageTechman. We talk sci-fi, TV, movies, superheroes, and all from a geek perspective. You can find us on Blogger, Google+, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. We're everywhere. Join the Geek Homeworld. Hello, this is Ed, aka SavageTechman, and welcome to another wonderful episode of the Geek Homeworld podcast. We talk about geeky things. We talk about the film industry. We talk about TV, action, adventure, movies and television, different things like that, and things from a tech side also. And this episode is going to be talking about the Screen Actors Guild Awards. So if you're not kind of interested in that, then I'm just kind of recapping it. So we have many other episodes you may be interested in. So as I'm recording this, it's January 31st. Definitely wanted to get an episode in for the month of January. I believe it was right around Christmas when we did our last episode. And I've been doing a lot with putting my focus into Savannah on Film, where I have a local radio show here in Savannah, Georgia, and I interview people in the film industry from all different levels. You can find us on Facebook, Savannah on Film. You can go ahead and subscribe, like the page. We're also on YouTube, Savannah on Film, and on Twitter, we're there. So we also do live broadcasts of Savannah on Film. So if you're interested in watching that and looking at that, you certainly can. It's out there. We are Geek Homeworld also. I am. And we've a little behind on things this year, like I said, because of focus on the radio show, which has been highly successful, and not had as much time for podcasting. I'm trying to change that in 2019. I'm glad to see 2018 go, and always excited for the future and what it has to offer. And so we've got a lot more episodes coming up here on Geek Homeworld on the podcast, and we're going to be talking about a lot of things, hopefully doing some more video as my expertise grow in that area. But I'm a sound guy, a sound mixer, so that's where the bread and butter is, and it's kind of what I know the best, so you got to stick with what you know. But anywho, 2018 has been a great year. During 2018, back in September 7th, we celebrated 4 years of the Geek Homeworld podcast. So in 2019, if we make it to September 7th, which I don't see why we wouldn't, that would be 5 years of this podcast, which will be wonderful. And September 7th of 2018 also was 10 years consecutively that I've been podcasting. So that's kind of a cool thing too. So some anniversaries right there. But anyway, I want to thank everybody who's listening, who follows the podcast. We do have all the podcast episodes on YouTube at Geek Homeworld, and I've done a few video podcasts or video versions of this also, and some other things. You might check out our YouTube channel, subscribe there if you're interested. And so I'm just going to kind of go over the Screen Actors Guild Awards, or SAG Awards, and they're basically by the people that are in the Screen Actors Guild, as it says, and it's basically people that make movies voting on the best movies or their best movies. So what we ended up with were an interesting mixture. This is probably the most diverse categories of films. I should say more than categories. I'm trying to find the right word for that, but this is the most diversified group of nominees and winners. And so I'm going to go through the complete list of winners here. For Outstanding Cast was Black Panther. Of course, that was the number one movie of the year, grossing $700 million domestic. And 2018 was a record year. Not for attendance, though. I think attendance was still dwindling. It's been going down for several years at theaters, with people doing more home theater and stuff like that, and different options and streaming stuff, and so that's impacted the actual tickets, being sold. But dollar-wise, the price of a ticket keeps going up. This past year, 2018, I was a member of, I don't even remember the name of it now, Movie Pass, that's circling the drain at this point. I was really into their service that allowed me to see a lot more films, which it did for a lot of people, but they just kind of went belly up, and then it kind of forced AMC to evaluate what they were doing, and so AMC created their A-list, and I've been an AMC member back when they were like Carmike and the Windsong Theater here locally, and so it was part of all of that, but I ended up becoming an A-list member, where right now I'm paying like $20 a month, and I get to see up to 3 movies a week, and they're not limited. Like Movie Pass had to keep limiting things when things were, circling the drain there. And I've loved the experience of Movie Pass so far. Excuse me. I did love that for a while, but Movie Pass kind of dropped the ball on things. They went too low with their price. It was something that was unsustainable. So what I'm trying to say is enjoying, and very much so, and seeing many more movies than I probably would have seen this past year with AMC's A+ list. I forgot the name of it now. But anyhow, that has changed the way, and the way that people watch films is going to change. Now, you'll always find me in a theater for a Star Wars film or a Terminator film or something like that needs to be seen on the big screen, like the very limited release that Lord of the Rings director did. I can't think of his name. It escapes me right now. I'm sorry. Peter Jackson. Yeah. He did a World War II archive film where he colorized over like the course of 4 years. It's an amazing achievement in film. And I want to call it They Won't Be Forgotten. It's not in my notes here, but it's about the British in World War I, and you literally get to see and hear for the first time, and in color, which was an amazing feat in unto itself, how they did that, and a testament to filmmaking, something that should be taught in film schools around the world. That film should be shown, and it probably will. And from sound, from Foley to, just cinematography. There's so many things, special effects, amazing film. It should have probably been the film of the year, but it really wasn't nominated, and I don't know why. It was in such a limited release, but Peter Jackson's definitely a crowning achievement. It makes all other films just seem so, like all the sci-fi and fantasy films and superhero films, it just makes them pale in comparison, even the best of them, when you see that film by Peter Jackson. So if you get a chance to go see it, I would highly recommend you go out and check that out if you're able to catch it. It's supposed to be expanding to some theaters in 2019, and I really wish it would, because I think everybody needs to see that film. Talking about films that are expanding, February 1st through the 7th, and today is January 31st, 2019, when I'm recording this, the folks at Disney, they said in a statement that February 1st through the 7th in select cities, Black Panther, the #1 film of the year, and it's coming out to theaters, and it's going to be free. And they're going to donate a certain amount of profit towards the United Negro College Fund, which is an awesome thing to do. And I just, I highly applaud that. What a great idea. Because that film, Black Panther, whether it being the first film, being nominated for an Oscar, which is amazing. Even though had the Academy changed earlier, The Dark Knight would have been nominated, should have been nominated. It should have been the first superhero movie nominated. It is, I'm sorry, I love Black Panther. I do. I think it's one of the best Marvel movies, but I don't think it's as good as The Dark Knight. Now, Black Panther was such an incredible achievement in cinema because of how it was made and how empowering it became for people of color and around the world. And I'm not undercutting any of that and saying it's not important. For that, it ought to get Best Picture, because for a lot of people it will be Best Picture, no matter if it made $2 or $1 billion, which it did, over $1 billion worldwide. And but the thing is, we're going to talk later on. It'll probably be in February this year. We're kind of I'm behind on things because of the radio show and just a lot of other things that happened towards the end of the year that I wasn't able to podcast here and talk about it. But I don't think that there are a lot better films than Black Panther. I'm not trying to elicit any hate from anybody else, but I personally feel that, Black Panther was one of the best Marvel films. But honestly, Winter Soldier, one of the best Marvel films out of all, at this point, what is it, 18, 19, almost 20? I think Endgame might be film 20, or Captain Marvel's 19, and then Endgame's 20, something like that. So, there's some more crowning achievements in film. I haven't totally put together my 2018 list. By this time, I would have it out, plus my preview of 2019. So look for that in February, coming to the podcast, and I'm going to have a movie friend or film friend of mine on here, hopefully, once we can get our schedules aligned, hopefully. And that's the hardest thing, because a lot of us are working on actual films and in TV and internet things and different things that are going on. So we haven't been able to coordinate our schedules. It's been very difficult. But I personally, I won't say Black Panther was my favorite film of the year. I think Killmonger was probably the best, or one of the best, because Loki's my favorite villain and a lot of people's favorite villain in the Marvel Universe. But Killmonger was so important that he actually changed the thinking of the Black Panther himself. And nothing against Chadwick Boseman and all the wonderful cast and definitely the crew that made it all happen of Black Panther. I'm not trying to take anything away from Black Panther, but I think, because it is such a culturally significant film, it's a stunning achievement. Not a stunning achievement of filmmaking, but a stunning achievement, I think, socially. And I think it's going to change, quite literally, the look of some films and the makeup, not makeup literally, but, what makes up a film for the casting and all that. And, we're seeing a big change in the industry, more females to the forefront of things, which is great, which is wonderful. Should have happened a long time ago. We're also seeing people of color in primary positions on films. Jordan Peele is definitely at the top of that list with Get Out. And I think the new movie he's got coming out called Us, which is going to be amazing. You're going to see a lot of films in 2019 that the trend is leading more towards horror films. Like we had Halloween, which was out around before Halloween this year in last year, 2018, and it did very well. It was one of the best, if not, best. It was definitely, I think, one of the best Halloween films, because they got silly after a while. They just got, a parody of themselves essentially, but it's a direct sequel. And Jamie Lee Curtis, what she did in that film, we have a whole episode where we talked about that. So you can check out in our archives here of Geek Homeworld. And we're on Twitter at Geek Homeworld. Also, geekhomeworld.libsyn.com is the hosting website there. Libsyn doing a great job for us there. And happy to be part of that organization. Hosting there. I mean, not part of the organization, but hosting on the Libsyn. And but anyway, I want to get back to my thought here about a list of the winners. And the outstanding cast, I could probably give that to Black Panther. Best actor was Rami Malek. I always say it wrong. It's Rami. I want to say Remy Malek, but it's Rami Malek. Mr. Robot fame, Bohemian Rhapsody, and he's been kind of sweeping the awards. And a friend of mine who's probably going to be on here, he was so upset. And, there are some identity politics going on in Hollywood, and that's nothing new, but I don't know if that's why Black Panther is doing so well, why we have, it could be part of it, but, that's a longer, deeper discussion for another time. But I don't mind females, and I hate to say I don't mind, because that sounds weird, but what I'm saying essentially is I applaud more female characters. Now, I don't care who my character is as long as they fit within the narrative of the story. If it detracts from the story, then, it doesn't have to be a female because it's got to be a female. You know what I'm saying? If the story calls for female, then yes, a female lead. But I have problems with movies in the box office, and fans have shown by their support or non-support of films when they don't like the way a franchise is going, like Star Wars. There's been a backlash. There's people that love Solo. I was not a big fan of Solo. I like the prequels. I don't think they're terrible. They're not great, but they're not terrible. And over time, they're looking much better than some of the other stuff. And, I know technology plays a big deal in all of this, but Captain Marvel, I want to be excited about it when it comes out in February, which is, weeks away. Captain Marvel will be out on the big screen. And then, we get to late April, we've got basically say goodbye to Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, probably a lot of our major heroes. We're going to have Doctor Strange and Captain Marvel take over the universe, and that's fine, So we're going to close out a good 10-year-ish arc of Avengers, and, kind of passing the gauntlet, so to speak, right? But a passing of the torch there. But I don't mind that. I'm just not, for stories, I'm not so excited. I'm still, after 2 or 3 trailers, I'm still not super excited to see Captain Marvel. Will I go see it? Definitely. Opening weekend, hopefully. But I'm just not blown away by it. I want to be blown away by it. I'm so worried about Star Wars Episode 9 that's going to come out this December of 2019. And I think Disney has done a lot of course corrections after the backlash over The Last Jedi, and the fans more or less, dumping on Solo, even though it finished, I think, number 10 or number 11 for, domestic grosses of films. It finished almost in the top 10, or if not the top 10, just right outside of it. So like 200 million, which is great for a film, but for a Star Wars film, not so good, and box office doesn't speak to everything. There are people that love The Last Jedi. I like different aspects of it, but as time goes on, I've got less love for it. I hated how Luke Skywalker died, but I want, like a lot of Star Wars fans, and I'll probably talk about this a lot as we go throughout the year, so, expect it. This is the Geek Homeworld, so I'm going to talk about geeky things, and among other things. But Episode 9, J.J. Abrams has even bigger challenge than he had with The Force Awakens. He basically retold, he brought in the old and the new and mixed them up and made it exciting. And I like The Force Awakens. It fits in well, I think, with everything. But The Last Jedi is a beautiful film. The cinematography looks wonderful. It's a beautiful film. But the storyline of killing Luke off, there's so many tangents I can go down, and I already have on past episodes if you want to check out on Geek Homeworld about that. We're also on iTunes, by the way, if you want to check us out. So what do I say to that? Well, I say that you just got to know your fans, and in this day of social media, fans will let you know quickly. They will trash you online. Another film I'm looking forward to seeing is Dark Phoenix, and it kind of got the go, non-go, and it's definitely been through the ringer, but there's been rumored to be 3 screenings of that so far, and there's even a part in the film, and they've not gone well. And Dark Phoenix is coming out pretty soon. I want it to be a hit. I want to see. I was feeling like X-Men was finally getting better, and X-Men Apocalypse was not to the level that I wanted it to be at. It was a good film, but it wasn't great. For a lot of people, it sucked. But Fox's the deal with Disney is going to be finalized this year, so this is probably going to be the last X-Men movie we'll get until maybe the crossover, they start showing up in Endgame or beyond that, or whatever Disney and Marvel and all that and decide to do with it. But I'm excited the Fantastic Four are going to get a movie or get a reboot or whatever, possibly. I'm very excited about that. But when I look at what some of these films have done, from what I'm hearing about Dark Phoenix, I mean, there was a part where it's supposed to be sad, like a real sad moment, and people were laughing during Dark Phoenix. That's what I read on the internet. So, take it to be true, take it to not be true, supposedly insider stuff. But I know they've gone and done reshoots back, I think in August of 2018, they had to do reshoots and they showed it, and then they maybe did some more reshoots and showed it the 3rd time. And they just really may have a big disaster on their hands. So go out and see X-Men Dark Phoenix, and then it may come up being one of the worst films of 2019. And I'm trying to lower my expectations for it, just like I am for episode 9. But episode 9 for Star Wars is going to wrap everything up. So finally, I think from some early art that I've seen from the film, that maybe they're going to get it right. And episode 9 will have to tie in the prequels with the original trilogy. And of course, it's going to advance the story of, or finish off the arc or whatever of the whole Skywalker clan. So it's all going to come to crescendo in this movie and in this film. And I just hope that they give the fans exactly what they want. Anthony Daniels the other day tweeted how he did his last bout is, he didn't necessarily say his last scene, I guess, was filmed for episode 9, so he may show up in something else, but more or less it's coming to the end of it. He's 72 years old, I think, roughly. So he's been around for the whole thing as C3PO, and interesting enough, he's not on this early poster that I saw that's a possible poster, and the Super Bowl is coming up this weekend, so I don't know if we're going to get an episode 9 teaser trailer. There's hints that Luke's coming back. Maybe they're bringing Hayden Christensen back as Darth Vader. He may appear in it. The Emperor would appear in it. Maybe Snoke is still alive, but he's actually, or not alive, but he was Darth Plagueis, and he, cheated death. I mean, there's so many things I could do. I really wish the Darth Plagueis book that's not canon anymore, I wish it was canon. That's one of my favorite. And, it would just be really good to see that. So, I don't know. Let's just look at so there's a lot coming out. So, I guess in a way I can tie this all together in talking about that identity politics, social justice warriors, whatever. I've got nothing against people that feel that way, and we need to be more progressive with our filmmaking. Oh, we do. We need to be more inclusive. We need females in all roles up and down the chain, below the line, above the line. Definitely need to have a bigger say. We need more screenplays written by women. We need, Bumblebee. I loved Bumblebee. I walked away from that movie And I didn't see it opening weekend, but I saw it several weekends later. And I thought how refreshing it was. And nothing against Michael Bay. He's the king of action. But this screenplay was done by a female. And it was a sweet movie. And it just had a different tone. And it felt like Bumblebee felt like the studio finally, after a couple terrible movies there, and watching the franchise, each movie starting to lose money as they went on and just, ran it into the ground, the Transformers films. But it seemed like this was a nice refresher kind of reboot, of some sort. And it was kind of going back to the basics. People like the cartoon, basically, from the mid-'80s. And that's really what a lot of people were introduced to Transformers as. And that's the quintessential version. And it's like X-Men from the mid-'90s, the cartoon on Fox Kids, as it was called. That is still the quintessential X-Men with a few changes, updated over time. But I really see the uniforms, the influence in Dark Phoenix, and I really feel like they're getting there. But I just think if this movie bombs, it's going to be sad, because this is going to be, if Dark Phoenix, if it really, really bombs, if it's like the next Fantastic Four, or the last one, I should say, it's going to be pretty sad. It's going to be a bad way to see the X-Men close out things under Fox. Fox just couldn't get it together. Their X2 was probably the best film they ever did. And I was even there with them on the third X-Men film, and I think with Days of Future Past was probably the second best of all the X-Men films. And now I'm not counting like the Wolverine films, obviously. Logan, if we talk about a film that should have gotten an Oscar nod, that happened to be a comic book movie, but it really wasn't very sci-fi-ish or whatever it was. But, Logan basically was a Western, but still, it deserved an Oscar nod. Hugh Jackman, Patrick Stewart, they deserve some kind of nominations. And I love that Black Panther's getting all the adulation it's getting, but it just wasn't, it was a good movie. Now, people will totally disagree with me, and that's fine. That's the great thing, is we can totally disagree and part as friends. And, but I want to see Star Wars turn out right. Episode 9 there's a lot of pivotal films. Toy Story 4 is coming out. I don't really care so much, because Toy Story 3 was just really good. It was a great way to end the franchise, but, we'll see. Disney's got a lot of magic up their sleeve, I know, and I applaud Disney for what they're trying to do, but please keep listening to the fans. Give the fans what they want, and especially with Star Wars. I've never seen such, in the fandom with Star Wars, so many people conflicted, and so many fans. And it's not just the older fans that have been around for decades versus the newer fans. It's a combination of everybody. And so, I think there's a lot of course correction going on, a lot of people freaking out, probably at high levels in studios everywhere, and they should be listening. You've got to be listening, but it's kind of hard. This is the reason George Lucas sold for like $5 billion, sold the thing he created. Now it's so funny, because I've always believed in George Lucas, except for writing dialogue, which is episode 1's big issue. But he's a great, architect of things, and but just not dialogue. And, he sold it because the fandom would not leave him alone. They hated everything, and I still could watch any of the prequels, especially episode 3. That was definitely the best of the prequels. I don't know if they got better, but because there's only 3 of them. So I liked episode 1. There's things I liked about episode 2. Episode 3 started to look like a video game, but it was fun, and it felt like Star Wars. Solo, to me, didn't feel as much like Star Wars. And, I know things change, things evolve. I'm not against change. I'm not against evolution, as it were, of film characters. And, I think, what's his name that played Lando Calrissian in Solo? He stole the movie. He was a perfect version of what I would imagine a young Lando Calrissian to be. And I cannot think of his name. He's a rapper. This is America. Oh gosh. Sorry. My brain is it's just not there right now. But Donald Glover. Isn't that his name? Donald Glover? Yeah. I forgot his other name, his rap name. I forgot Childish Gambino. Thank you. I'm thanking myself for remembering. Anyway, a brilliant job as Lando Calrissian. And to see Lando come back in episode 9, it's going to be nice, to have the whole crew back together from the original trilogy. I wish Carrie Fisher were still alive. And I don't know if I want to see a digitized version of her. If there's something she filmed that fits in and even fits in theme-wise, from Last Jedi that she filmed or something afterwards or whatever, and they can incorporate it in a way that makes it believable and respectful to the legacy of Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia, General Organa, then do it. But, only with the family's blessing, only with, be careful because, you walk a tightrope there. And I know that Disney's got to know that. And that's fine, but I just want to make sure that we do a service to fans. Here's some of the movies. So I know I got way off on a tangent there, but it's been a while, and I just wanted to kind of get that out there. And I know a lot of what I mentioned you may agree or disagree with. Let me know on Twitter at Geek Homeworld. Okay, at Geek Homeworld. Always interested in what you got to think and say. But internet, you can be cruel and you can be mean sometimes. Don't be mean. Let's just talk about things. Let's all be fans. I want to be a fan. I want to enjoy. And I'm going to enjoy no matter what anybody says. These films like Black Panther, I'll go see it again. I'll see it for free, but I'll pay for it to see it or put it on my A-list and go see it when it comes out. Definitely. Especially if it's supporting a great cause like they're going to. With that release, I think that's wonderful. Totally. But anyway, so outstanding cast for like an ensemble goes to Black Panther. Best actor, Rami Malek for Bohemian Rhapsody. I think he deserves it. There were some other great performances, and later on in February, hopefully when I get my other film friend in here, we'll have a more cohesive list, and we'll probably have a very spirited conversation because he thinks that Rami Malek lip synced and got Best Actor so far in a couple of awards shows, and who he thought should have won was Christian Bale, who did a wonderful job impersonating or whatever the makeup and all they did to make him Dick Cheney in Vice, which I hated the movie Vice. I thought it was terrible. I'm just being honest with you. This is my show, my personal opinion. So I think it was a total hatchet job. And I'm not picking sides, politics or otherwise. I didn't enjoy the film. It just wasn't my cup of tea. And but Christian Bale did a great job. Black KKK Klansman by Spike Lee was a very good film. I'm not sure yet. I haven't gone through my 2018 list yet to kind of rank my top 10, as it were, films, but it was definitely one I was moved by, and I thought it's a very good film. And I'm surprised that the lead in that, which is Denzel Washington's son, and I forgot his name, forgive me, but I think he should have got a nomination, and he didn't. Green Book was great. Is it Viggo Mortensen? I think that's his name. He did a wonderful job, and anyway, I always mispronounce this gentleman's name, but he did get Best Supporting Actor at the SAG Awards. Mahershala Ali for Green Book. He got a Best Supporting Actor. Best actor went to Rami Malek, we said, for Bohemian Rhapsody, which I thought he so encapsulated and transformed himself into Freddie Mercury. And being a Queen fan anyway of their music, the film was just wonderful. I missed the little sing-along that they had. It was announced here locally, and I didn't get to see that, but I'm sure it would have been fun. I was singing along anyway during the film. Best actress was Glenn Close for The Wife. I have not seen that. I kind of feel like she's getting it because, I think it's one of those things she's been nominated and never won. And so I felt like this was kind of the time for her to get it. And usually the SAGs will kind of predict what's going on with the Oscars coming up, but, it could go either way. This is the kind of year where with identity politics and stuff like that and all that, and people trying to make statements and be politically correct, Black Panther could win. Is Black Panther worthy to win an Oscar? I don't know if it's worthy, but it's definitely one of the best films. So if that makes it worthy, then yes, that makes it worthy. It's not my favorite film of the year, but I think it was a very well done film. I think it was a solid film for a superhero film. I didn't think there was enough superhero-ness to Black Panther, like there was in Infinity War. I think Infinity War was a better picture. Plus, it brilliantly wrapped up 10 years of all these different writers, directors, and et cetera, et cetera. I know it was all kind of planned out, the arc of things and the wonderful, way it just came together. That movie stunned so many people. Infinity War. I've never seen silence at the end of a Marvel movie and just, oh my gosh, everybody turning to dust. And so Emily Blunt got Best Supporting Actress for A Quiet Place. That's definitely going to be in my top 10 for the year. As a sound mixer, person that works in post sound, of course, I appreciated the lack of sound, their use of the lack of sound, which is very, very interesting. And it was just a really good film. And I'm looking forward to a sequel. I don't know how they do it, but I think they did it. And it's called Bird Box because everybody went crazy over that, was that end of 18 into early 2019 here. And I saw it, and that was a very good film too. It was very well done. It was on Netflix, and Netflix, Amazon, they're changing the way we're seeing films. They're changing the way, they're starting to get nominated for stuff, and it's amazing. Outstanding ensemble drama series, This Is Us. Never watched it. A lot of people love that show, so I don't know. Outstanding ensemble comedy series, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I don't know. I don't have Amazon Prime, so I don't know. I didn't see it. Best actor drama series, Jason Bateman for Ozark. I have caught some episodes of that, and I want to say I think it's filmed in Georgia or North Georgia, roughly. I could be wrong on that. It's been known to happen several times. But Jason Bateman gave one of the most inspiring speeches to not give up. Your next big film is right around the corner. Your next big break is right around the corner. Don't lose hope, more or less. That's what he said. And it was just really wonderful for him to get that award. And that speech was just so wonderful. And a lot of people say, well, what about Black Panther? What a great speech. And it was very uplifting, and it's a cultural moment, another milestone. And I love that. I love that. Black Panther's still not my favorite film of the DC. Oh gosh, I said a bad word. DC of the Marvel universe or sci-fi. It's not my favorite. I mean, you want to talk about one of the best sci-fi films made in the last 5-10 years, maybe ever? Blade Runner 2049, the cinematography, the sound, the set design, the everything about it, very interesting. But I know all of us geeks, we come in different types and different shapes and sizes and likes and dislikes, and so what one person loves, the other person might not, Best Actress Drama Series was Sandra Oh, Killing Eve. Okay. It didn't see that. Best Actor Comedy Series, Tony Shalhoub. I don't know, I'm saying that wrong. Shalhoub, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Best Actress Comedy Series, Rachel Brosnahan for The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Best Actor TV Movie or Miniseries, Darren Criss, The Assassination of Gianni Versace. I don't know if I saw that or not. Best Actress TV Movie or Miniseries, Patricia Arquette, who was filming down here in Savannah area in Georgia on another project, but she won for Best Actress TV Movie or Miniseries for Escape at Dannemora. Outstanding Stunt Ensemble, Comedy or Drama Series, Glow. Don't get that, but visibly missing from here is Tom Cruise. When you bring up the word stunt, how great, and this has got to be one of my top 10 films this year. I'll fight hard to get it in my list. It's already there. I mean, I don't have to fight hard to get it in my list. But Mission Impossible Fallout, not just the most profitable film of that entire 22, 25, whatever year, started in 96, I think, franchise, Mission Impossible, but definitely the best. The action was on point. Tom Cruise didn't almost die, but he was jumping from a building, fractured his foot, and continued the stunt. So many great things about Tom Cruise. I have very much respect for him, and it's not just because I have respect for him as an actor and as a businessman behind the camera and everything to do with that. And but he does his own stunts, and his age, I think he's 56, I'm guessing. I could be wrong. He might be 54. I might be aging him a little too high. I'm not too far behind that. So anyway, age doesn't matter, and he's showing us how great you can do stuff. He is an adrenaline junkie, I know. He's got to be from his films, but he does a wonderful job. The whole ensemble crew, Vin Rames, and I can't think of the guy. That's part of his, usually the comedic guy. I can't think of his name. Forgive me. My brain is just not here today. But anyway, the whole crew, that was an ensemble. And oh my gosh, even though DC Universe fell apart as we're speaking, it's just about a half a day to a day past, not Christian Bale, the Batman actor. He's walking away from Batman officially. But Man of Steel actor was in there, and as a bad guy in Mission Impossible Fallout. And we have a whole episode about Mission Impossible Fallout that you should check out on our Geek Homeworld podcast. But what a wonderful Henry Cavill, wonderful role he had in Mission Impossible Fallout as kind of like agent who turns, and he's really kind of a bad guy. Sometimes you don't know all the twist in there. It's more than an M. Night Shyamalan movie, which, by the way, I just saw Glass, and if I don't talk about it, it was pretty good. It was interesting to see, but it had the Shyamalan twist at the end, and I thought it was a good film. I enjoyed it, but that's another subject for another day. But so, I was, for stunts though, Mission Impossible, Tom Cruise especially should have gotten a SAG award. How he hasn't, I don't understand. He's an actor who does his own stunts, but sometimes you think he's a stuntman who does his own acting, but he's a brilliant actor. He's got such range, and there's a lot of his films that don't have stunts in them. A Few Good Men, and stuff like that. And he was so exceptional in. So that's just going over the winners of the Screen Actors Guild or SAG Awards that occurred recently. And anyway, so let us know what your thoughts are. Did you agree with us? Did you disagree? there was more I was going to cover on this, but I'm kind of running long here on this episode, longer than I anticipated, but it's just good to touch base with everybody. We've got a lot coming up this year. Like I said, 2019 coming up, hopefully on our 5-year anniversary of the podcast, and who knows what the future holds, but I hope it's a very good and positive one for all of you out there that are listening, 2019. And so I'm going to bring this episode to a close, and coming up soon on episodes, we'll be talking probably Oscars. We'll be talking more about those. We'll be talking about the award season. We'll be talking about a lot of other things. So once I can get my friend back on here, we can just start talking about some stuff, and, so see where things go from here. So go out to the movies. Go ahead, enjoy these wonderful films. Like what you like. Don't worry about what other people think about what you like. Don't even let what you hear here affect you. Hopefully I'm not going to lead you in the wrong way, but I'm just a simple person who loves geeky things, and I have other interests too. But, when I podcast here, I'm talking about stuff that geeks might like Star Wars, Star Trek, sci-fi, superheroes, action adventure movies, films like that, and TV series and stuff. So, I'm enjoying on TV. I'm enjoying the gentleman that played Littlefinger, and I can't remember his name. And this wasn't scripted. None of this is scripted, obviously. But I wanted the gentleman that plays the character of Littlefinger on Game of Thrones, which that's coming back this year. I've got to get HBO back, by the way, so I can watch that, or go over to my friend's house and watch Game of Thrones this year, the final season. It's going to be epic and all that. But anyway, there's Project Blue Book. If you're not watching it on History Channel, it's very good. I enjoyed it. It really has a feel like the X-Files. So if you're an X-Files fan, and I want another series, well, not another series, I want more seasons of the X-Files. I doubt we're going to get it. I doubt we'll even get a movie, but who knows? We didn't think we'd get these last couple seasons of X-Files, and I enjoyed them, by the way, the last two that they had, and, it kind of ended on a cliffhanger, but things can always be rewritten and written different ways, and so that, I don't know. We'll just see. We'll see what happens. But anyway, so I hope you're have a great 2019. If you want to check us out here, it's geekhomeworld.libsyn.com. We're on iTunes. We're on Google Plus, which is probably going away this year, but I don't really do anything on that. But I think we're there, available there too. Check us out on Facebook, Geek Homeworld. Like our page, follow our page, interact with us there. Best way to interact, you can go to the website, geekhomeworld.libsyn.com, and download the episodes there, or through Facebook, Geek Homeworld. Go there, like it. Leave some comments. We'll do some discussions, whatever the fans want. That's what we'll do. So I want to thank everybody who's been following us all these years, and I never know how to end an episode, so I'm going to end it now. Ouch. I just bumped into the table there. Well, that's a sign for me to go then. So here's to 2019, and we'll be seeing you on the Geek Homeworld. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Geek Homeworld with your host, SavageTechman. You can find us on Libsyn, Google+. Follow and interact with us on Twitter. Like us on Facebook, listen to us on iTunes and leave a review, subscribe to us on YouTube, read our thoughts on Blogger. See you again on the Geek Homeworld.